Hi everyone, welcome back to Cardvoyant. I'm Kris and I'm your Cardvoyant, and today I have another one card reading for you, for all of us, hopefully, that will be helpful, hopefully. And I also have some more Jacob's Journal material. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is about tarot and learning to use tarot as a tool to tap into our clairvoyant nature. But I also do these readings that are kind of to help us understand how I use tarot. And also the Jacob's Journal material is material that comes to me through automatic writing from guides on the other side who collectively have asked to be known as Jacob. So I do share that. I will let you know that I have another couple videos coming up that should be out just shortly, and they will be specifically tarot topics. One will be about choosing a tarot deck, and the next will be about shuffling and sort of beginning a reading, just any reading. So that's very basic material. But when you're starting out, there's so many questions and so many things. Every little thing you wonder, am I doing this right? Is there a way I should be doing this? So hopefully this will talk about some of those topics, since we have all the videos that have helped you hopefully learn the cards as well. And this will be building on that. I also want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you for all of you wonderful long-time subscribers as well. And also for the people who I've been reading for lately. I've had a number of readings lately for new clients, and that's wonderful. It's been great. So thank you for that. And if you are interested in reading, you can find all the information and book a reading through my website, which is cardvoyant.com. So with that, let's get into this one card reading. Now with these one card readings, what I'm trying to do is just get some help and guidance. And what I ask my guides when I'm doing this, and the guides who are sort of helping us through this time, is what we need to know, what it would help us to know, what it would be good for us to know. Any or all of those things. So as I shuffle, I try and connect with my guides and ask that question, and going into it knowing that it's just going to be a one card reading. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will tip the screen down so you can see me doing that, and then we'll go from there. So there you have it, and it's the Moon card. And this is a major arcana card, so talk about that. It seems appropriate at this time when we're facing so many life-altering events, that we would get a major arcana card. And I have to tell you, I cut it out. I'm sure I will cut it out of the finished video, but I shuffled for a really long time, and it just I couldn't get the feeling of when to stop, when I would have the right card. And that happens sometimes when you're doing readings. But finally, I came to this Moon card. And it's just particularly appropriate to get this Moon card after a time of like this shuffling where I couldn't get it right. I couldn't get it right. And I feel like that's the feeling that so many of us are having right now. Like nothing feels settled. Nothing feels right. Obviously, our world has kind of been upended, and we've got so many things that have changed in just the way that we live our lives, and that have been, throughout our lives. Even somebody as old as I am hasn't had this time in our lives where everything has just changed, fundamentally changed, right? And so we get this time of feeling so unsettled. And, obviously none of us knows exactly where we're headed. We have clues, and we all hope that, things are getting better and getting back to normal in whatever form that eventually takes. But I think for so many of us, normal means having the ability to go about our ways, about our lives in ways that we choose. Like so much is out of our hands right now. But that's why we get this moon card. The moon card is all about, I mean, it's so much about, I should say, um, our inner selves, right? There's a sun card as well, but the moon card is this more introspective part. You can see the water, which always represents sort of this psychic inner self, and this lobster crawling out of the water, which represents the emergence of that inner self into the outer world. And we also have these two figures that you can see them, the dog and wolf, or dog and fox, dog and coyote, however you want to look at them. But they do represent sort of this dual nature of ourselves. And here we have, talking about today, we have a dual nature in ourselves in so many ways. For one thing, we have our cautious selves, right? That, of course, we all want to remain safe. We all want to remain healthy. We all want to protect others, hopefully. But we also have this self that just wants things to be back to normal. We want to live our lives, as I said, in the way that we want to live them. And we want to be able to function feeling that there's a future for us to function in, to grow into, that our dreams, that our goals, that the things that we've been working toward in our individual lives still have relevance, and that we will still eventually have the ability to do so. So we're balancing that, as in this card, this dual nature card. We're balancing our safety, the things that we feel that we should do, with the things that we want to do, and today with the prospect of tomorrow. We're also dealing with this for a lot of people, and this isn't necessarily people that are watching this channel, but some people in leadership positions, and then just people in the world. And this is human nature, but we do deal with that aspect, that the two sides of being human, that is care for self and then care for others. And so are we looking out for number one in a way that it could actually harm others, or are we sort of looking at the collective whole? And this moon card talks about the ways that we can bring that together, the ways that we should bring that together, acknowledging that we have these different parts of us in our individual lives, in our greater community lives. This desire, these two desires, as I spoke about, with like being safe, but also just wanting to sort of get on with it, but also this thing of self-protection, but also wanting to protect others. And this card talks about the need, the deep need to bring those things together, to align ourselves in one kind of way, right? We want to be safe, but we want to have our lives, and there is a way to bring those together. And going forward, this card talks about the possibility, because the we move through a story with the tarot cards, and there is a sun card after this, right? So it talks about bringing those together, these two parts of us, these two parts of the situation, two parts of humanity together, so that we can move forward into the sunlight. But this time, this moon card gives us the opportunity to evaluate not only the ways in which we do that, it's specifically related to this pandemic, but also the ways in which we do that in our lives. And there's so much in the Jacob's Journal material, you'll see it talks again and again about metaphor, as life as a metaphor, right? In the ways in which the things that we're going through and the things that we need to and are supposed to and do experience are sort of mimicked throughout nature and throughout the world. And so even while we're going through this as a very real situation, this pandemic situation, we're also going through this internally of reevaluating, deciding kind of what's safe and what isn't safe, what is worth risking things for? What risks are we willing to take? So it all works together. And the thing that allows us to sort of make these decisions is this inner self, this inner knowing, this psychic nature that we're talking about, and the way that we allow it to come forth, to crawl forth into the world. And hopefully we're all doing this as individuals, and it's being influenced and by us, but hopefully our leaders are doing the same, and they will do the same one way or another. One way or another, things are going to happen, and then it's incumbent upon us to evaluate those and say whether or not this is good and this is a pat on the back and we will continue in this mode, or this is not good and we need to change things and we need to get on the right path. But you can see the path in this card. It leads to the sun. It leads to the wide open possibility. And this is the same with us as we make these decisions, as we bring these this inner self into the outer world, deciding what we want our world and our personal world and the greater world to look like, then it does set us on a path. And, you know, hopefully we're on the right path. I mean, as we do this, it's actually a very positive process. And the moon card speaks about that because, as I said, the moon card leads to the sun card. So there's this feeling of, this is the time. This is the time that we're allowed to evaluate these things and to sort of restructure our being to determine things that are important to us and the ways in which we bring those things out into the world. So it's a very, to me, it feels like a calm card. Like, even though, you know, we're beginning to feel this pressure, like a little bit of craziness, like we just want things back to normal, or we just want to get out, you know, get out of the place that we're in. Even though there's that element that's starting to push its way forward out of us and other people, this card speaks about the opportunity that this is, and actually sort of the calmness that comes with being able to take some downtime, in a sense, to have more time to simply think about these things. Some of us are being forced into it because we've never thought about these things. But that's a good thing too, because we need to think about what's important in our lives, what's important in society, and how we bring those important things into the world and sustain them. So the moon card, very hopeful and very, it has a deeper meaning. I mean, it's not just a, oh, everything's going to be okay card. It's a card of, we really need to take the time to figure this out so that the okay that's coming is sustainable, long-term, and brings about joy and love in our lives and to the planet. So there you have it, our one card reading, the moon card. So let me get to this Jacob's journal material for those of you who don't know, and I mentioned it at the beginning, but I began receiving information a few months ago that felt like it was coming from guides, like master guides. And at first I kind of called them my pandemic guides because some of the information sort of related to these times that we're in. But then I got the message that I should refer to them collectively as Jacob, and also this as Jacob's journal. So that's what I've been doing. The information comes to me in the form, as I said, of automatic writing. After, generally, when I have been meditating, I'll get the first few sentences, and then I've showed this every time, so you may be bored. But it comes like that. I just write it down, then I transfer it to a Word document so that you can read it and it makes sense. So I just want to include these last 3 entries that I've received the past few days. They are kind of broad message, but I think they also do relate to the times that we're in. So this first one I received on May 1st. And it says, the patterns of the earth and beyond the earth have been set forth for you. They mimic and describe and are there for your observation and aid. The sun rises and fills your world with light. The sun sets and there is darkness, seemingly inescapable. And yet, on the morrow, the sun rises and all is illuminated, safe, and seeable again. And have you not learned in the darkness, from the darkness? The crow takes flight and sees the world from the wide vantage, breathing in the clearest, cleanest, most inspiring air. His heart beats and leaps at the beauty of possibility and hope. Yet does the crow not alight and take stock of his flight, all that he has seen and learned? The tides ebb and flow. The wheat grows and then fields lie fallow, renewing, preparing for rebirth, regrowth, renewal. As mankind has turned inward, concentrated upon only growth, self-knowledge, and even self-aggrandizement, he has lost the understanding of the times and seasons. For indeed, for everything there is a season, and each season has its purpose, its light, its darkness, its cold, its warmth. Snowfalls give way to rain, gives way to sun, heat, wind, life. And are not all these manifestations and aspects of value? Still, as with all things, even all patterns given, there comes a time when the weight becomes too heavy to bear, and the necessity of change looms. Rains must cease, the crow must land, the tide must rise, and the dawn must necessarily break. Then take heart, enjoy and give thanks for the promises of nature, the illustrations of universal truth. And when the sun rises once again, when the night hides once again, remember and learn from your dreams lived in darkness. This next one came May 5th, also in the morning. And again, it talks about nature. And I've had several that talk about the metaphors of nature and how they're important to us and there for us. So this one says, who among you would shoulder the burden of the ant, whose load is always too much to bear, forever too heavy to carry? Yet, claiming his small, tiny space in your vast world, he goes forward, presses onward, relentless in his task. In fact, his joy in his task, in living, in his opportunity to live and build, and thereby lend his important part into the makeup and construction of the interdependency of all that is alive, which is all that exists in your terms in the physical world. And in his efforts, then, he serves as both the metaphor and the maker, willingly, always willingly, lending his time, his effort, his small body, his endless soul to the task of joyous expression of the possibility of growth, expansion, love, joy, and endless creativity of the all that is, of which he and you are an integral part, an important part. The grass upon which you sit and the cows graze teems with life and work and devotion and compromise and promise and sacrifice. The ants and their myriad other selves dig and feed and slither and hop and glide through a world you barely notice, and yet surrounds and supports you. So too, the unseen, non-physical world exists and operates all around you, awaiting your gaze, your attention, bursting with infinite possibility, instruction, support, and love. And while the ant and his cohorts, all yours as well, finds his existence in your outside awareness, the physical world you now physically inhabit, the non-physical world, indeed your non-physical selves, exist in a never-ending, expansive, gracious, loving, creative, supportive world within. And just as you upon the grass and the ant, the numberless creatures live within and yet do share and occupy the same vast and inclusive world, so too the physical you and your non-physical self, your physical world and the non-physical, all that is, ever exist as one. There is no greater truth. Your individuality can only be understood within this context, for your individuality is expressed through and brought forth from the totality of the divine. And your intimate connectedness provides the support so necessary, vital, to the inevitable explosion of your individual selves, a celebration of the infinite individual possibilities of the all that is. Therefore, rejoice in the example and courage of the ant and all the smallest around you. Celebrate the shouldering and carrying of all that is possible within them, and understand and rejoice in your ability to do the same. These examples, these metaphors are for you and all about you, a gift and a promise from the source, your source. Have faith, rejoice. And this final short message came May 5th. And again, it's kind of an extension of the same topic. Take a look around you, all the space within which you now sit or stand or kneel. Notice the ways in which this place, these walls, define you. Walls both divide and protect you, allowing you to commit to a purpose and a way of being. What do you hold within your walls? What lines and decorates this outside interior? Here again is a metaphor. Are you feeling trapped within the walls you have constructed? Or does the structure you have created protect, calm, nurture, and comfort you? Are you in a prison of your own making? Or have damp stone walls been imposed upon you? Are you fighting, longing to free yourself? Or have you determined to expand, grow, blossom within this false structure so that in time it can no longer contain or constrain you? And in this way, walls must and do necessarily fall, crumble, revealing a vast, open, and welcoming outside. Therefore, allow yourself to expand in joy and grow in love so that all manner of walls and barriers crumble and fall, leaving your heart, your soul, your very being open to every possibility of joy and love, hope and promise in both the physical world you now inhabit and forevermore. So there you have it. As I said, I'll have some more just regular sort of tarot instruction videos coming up. And if you would like to look at the Jacob's Journal material in printed form, again, it's on the website. If you're interested again in having a reading, that information is on the website as well as some other information. So it's all there, one-stop shopping. Thanks again for tuning in. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thanks for commenting, leaving inspiration and comments, ideas that you've had. They're fantastic. I think everybody, other people love reading what you each individually have to say. I know I do, and I appreciate it. Please, while we're all going through this and forever, take care of yourself, take care of others, and come back again. And until then, I'm Kris, and I'm your Cardvoyant. Bye for now.